Hey guys, I'm back for part 2 of my top 10 favorite books ever series. If you haven't watched my first video about numbers 10 to 7, I'll link that down below because I made some general comments about the list at the beginning of that video. But here we go, let's get cracking on number 6 to 4. Number 6 is a departure from the ones I mentioned in the first video. It is The Killer Angels by Michael Shaara. This is Shaara's meticulously researched account of the Battle of Gettysburg, and you get to be in the heads of men in command from both the Union and the Confederate sides. So you are in Robert E. Lee's head as he orders Pickett's charge. You're with Colonel Joshua Chamberlain when his men run out of bullets in the middle of battle, and he has to make the decision to order a bayonet charge. I read this for the first time when I was 12, and this was a case of me not being interested at all in the nitty-gritty details, but those details became interesting through the eyes of the characters. So I don't care about military strategy at all, like it bores me to tears. But for these men, it's important and natural and interesting, and so it becomes that for you as the reader. The way that Shaara breathes life into these men is just stunning. You learn about their past experiences and their strengths and weaknesses, fears, their beliefs, and their friendships. My favorite character was a Confederate general named Armistead, who is friends with a Union general named Hancock. I'll leave links to 2 scenes from the film Gettysburg below that's adapted from this book. It's a 4-hour epic that I just live for. To give you an idea, Martin Sheen plays Robert E. Lee and Jeff Daniels plays Colonel Chamberlain. Legit. Armistead was the actor Richard Jordan's last role before he died, and the 2 scenes that I'll leave for you below in both the book and the film just bring me to tears every time. Whether or not you're interested in war, this is a book about people and about how the small choices that certain people make at certain moments change the path of history. Getting up there now, guys. Number 5 is Fräulein Elsa. This is a novella by Arthur Schnitzler. I read this when I was studying abroad for a class on Kafka. I don't really like Kafka's writing. I ended up skimming a lot of things for that class, so I went into this with no intention of reading the whole thing and read it in an hour. I was completely transfixed. It's about a 17-year-old girl named Elsa who's staying in a spa in the Alps with her aunt, and she receives a telegram from her mother that's like, bad news, dear. Your father lost all his money, and, so you know that rich gentleman who happens to be staying at the same spa as you? Be a dear and persuade him to lend us some money, and you spend the rest of the night in Elsa's head as she tries to figure out what to do. It's masterful stream of consciousness. Elsa is trying to keep herself together, but she's basically freaking out, and the narrative spirals out of control. Things get trippy. It's overwritten. I don't care at all. I mean, when you write like Schnitzler, I give you full permission to overwrite as much as you want, ham it to the center of a dinner table. Schnitzler was a Viennese Jew, and I've read another one of his novellas called Lieutenant Gustl, and I love how he looks at the mentality of the Austrian Empire through the eyes of people that empire considered second-class citizens. Schnitzler cares about the little people, about how they're affected by greed and bigotry and machismo culture, and he looks at how small choices ripple outwards and have huge consequences for the disempowered. It meant so much to me that an elderly man wrote from the perspective of a 17-year-old girl, and he wrote about sexual exploitation, no less, and he thought it was an interesting and important enough subject to write so convincingly and poignantly. So if you want some classy drama in your life, this is a good choice. And number 4 is The Crane's Dance by Meg Howrey. This is about a ballerina named Kate who dances in a company with her younger sister Gwen. Gwen is by far the better ballerina, but we learn at the beginning of the book that Gwen recently had a mental breakdown. She's now living back at their parents' house, and that leaves Kate living alone in New York. I've said earlier on this channel that Kate's voice is the voice that I most identify with of any narrator I've ever read. I mean, everything about her tone, her self-deprecation, her wryness, her vulnerability, it's very much my voice. So part of me is like, how can I pitch this to you fairly when I kind of have a narcissistic reason for loving it? But I really do believe that there are lots of reasons for all different kinds of readers to appreciate The Crane's Dance. So much of this book is about Kate's relationship with Gwen, but we never actually meet Gwen in the present. She's not a character who gets to speak for herself, and this becomes a perfect commentary on how we structure the narratives of our lives by shutting certain things out, but certain people and events stay with you. And I don't want to say that Gwen is haunting Kate because that makes it sound melodramatic, but she is this ghostly presence that Kate silences over and over again, and that silencing costs her. Kate is a wounded soul, but her wit and her fire make her seem almost untouchable, which is why it's so devastating when she starts to break down, because you think this book is about Gwen's mental illness and despair, but what it actually becomes is a book about Kate losing her grip on her life. This book also explores artistic ambition and how you can love something as a child because you're good at it and it's fun to be good at things, but then you keep doing it, and at a certain point you don't know if what you feel for it is actually love anymore. Sort of like with The Killer Angels, I think you can have absolutely no interest in ballet and still find the descriptions of it in here really engaging. I know I've made this sound like a downer. It's not. It is breezy and funny and relatable, but with a dark edge to it that makes it so, so beautiful. I love you for sentimental reasons. So these are numbers 6 to 4, and they're a little more varied than the ones in my first video. What will the top 3 be? If you're curious, stay tuned for tomorrow's video. Bye guys, thanks for watching.